Hello. So I want to talk to you very quickly about the difference between a midlife crisis and a midlife creation. I've taken a day off to be in my friend's farm, and my daughter's off doing her menarche ceremony, which is the marking point between being a young girl and a young woman with my wife. So I've got the boys and my daughter at the farm, and I have been thinking deeply around this transition between a midlife crisis and a midlife creation. When I coach people on this, a couple of key things seem to come up all the time, so I thought I'd share them. It's all about the locus of control. Where does control sit? Do you feel like if you have control, then you have a sense of the future that you're living into? And when you don't have a sense of control, it's because you don't have a conscious vision of the future that you're living into. So change occurs like disruption. Whereas when you have a clear vision of the future, change occurs like progress towards something. And the difference in your experience of life is profound. You see, nature abhors a vacuum. If you don't put something conscious into your future, if you don't have a vision of what it is that you're living into for the second half of your life, you'll fill that space with a bunch of other stuff, other people's views, other people's opinions, other people's lives, trauma, your parents' points of view, even in our middle age. All that stuff that then pulls you towards a future that is not inspiring, and people have no power in their life when they've got a miserable future they're living into, and an enormous amount of power and freedom and self-expression in their lives and their professional life as well when they have a magnificent future that they're living into. But you need to consciously create what that future is for yourself, because the default future is not yours and is invariably on the lower end of the scale. 1/3 or 2/3 studies have shown that 2/3 of people at the moment are unhappy. And a dentist friend was telling me last night that he is increasingly seeing people who have splits in their molars all the way through from top to bottom in perfectly healthy molars, because they're so stressed they're literally grinding their teeth and splitting them like a log. There's all kinds of psychology and ideas around what that is, but in my experience of doing this work, sometimes it's really very simple. Do you have a future that is conscious and created and inspiring and magnificent, or do you not? And if you do, it's like a golden thread pulling you forward in your life and your loved ones. And if you don't, it's like a lead block pulling you back. So this is what you should do. Get a glass of wine or your favorite tipple. Sit down by yourself and with some space and time, get with the kids, the husband, the wife, and look at what it would take to, look at creating a day of your life when you're 80 that is the best possible day. Look at what it would take to have a wonderful day in your health, in your relationships, in your fitness, in your work, in everything that is important to you, and write it down. It's an amazingly powerful starting point, and it'll shift your perspective of everything that you're working towards in your life and give you some extra power in your life. Everybody that does that, please feel free to send it to me, or if you want it private, at sunny@sunnyneil.com. But that's a bit weird if you don't know me. Or share it with your loved ones and see what you get back. Thanks for listening.